Hi everybody, welcome to Cage Minds. I'm Micah Frankel. This is our first episode. We're going to be an MMA show. If you're not an MMA fan, I'll make you into one. We're going to be discussing, previewing, and I'm going to be making my predictions for UFC 129 St. Pierre versus Shields. As I have it, my first fight of the night pits the 8-0 of John the Bull Makdessi versus the 16-7-1 Kyle Watson. Kyle Watson is the more well-known of these two fighters, being a member of Ultimate Fighter Season 12, part of Team GSP versus Team Koscheck. He's a ground specialist, a member of the Hit Squad from Illinois with Matt Hughes. He's a three-stripe Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu brown belt. He's going to be taking on John Makdessi. Makdessi, the lesser-known fighter, is a young bull of a fighter, like his nickname says. 8-0, 2 career decisions with 6 TKOs. Furious stand-up. Been studying Taekwondo since the age of 6. A 2006 Eastern Canadian kickboxing champion, and a junior gold medalist in Taekwondo, a total stand-up fighter, transitioning his way into mixed martial arts. Every young fighter, I feel, needs a loss to strengthen them. I think this is going to be the time for Makdessi to take that loss in his career. I see Kyle Watson, the veteran with more experience and wily moves, pulling out something very close to this, a rear naked choke. In the second round, I believe it's going to come off of some kind of scramble, a kind of switch, a maneuver. It's going to be in kind of a reckless regard way. He'll end up taking the back, gaining a rear naked choke after a minor mistake by Makdessi. Keep Makdessi in mind. We'll hear of him again, see him again. Powerful young fighter. Next fight that I have down is the 22-13 Jason the Athlete MacDonald taking on 16-6 Ryan Jensen. Jason MacDonald is a Nova Scotia, Canada fighter, so his home area, a lot of pressure on him. He's coming off of a 3-fight losing streak right now. Another fight could spell the end of his stay in the UFC at this time. Good ground skills, good striking. He's pretty much good everywhere it goes. With a name like the Athlete, you know conditioning is no problem. Ryan Jensen, though, is a young fighter on the rise, having taken his training up a level down in Albuquerque, New Mexico with Craig Jackson and John Winkleman. Every time a fighter goes down there, John Winkleman expands their striking game immediately. Their technique improves, their jabs are more accurate, faster. I think that his skills in his hands are going to be showcased now. He's a hard wrestler, so he's not worried about being put on his back. Usually, even with Craig Jackson, it becomes a more comparable submission game. I'm thinking he's going to take a second-round TKO, though, showing his improved striking skills and not allowing MacDonald to be able to really put him on the ground. I see this one being a stand-up war. It's going to be a second-round TKO for Jensen, though. That moves us on to the next fight that I have, as we have Ivan Menjivar, the pride of El Salvador, coming in with a record of 21-8, taking on the 12-5 Charlie Valencia. Both of these men definitely top 20 within the weight class in the bantamweight division. Both men, comparable fighters. Menjivar coming back off of a 4-year retirement. This is going to be his 3rd fight. He's 1-1 in those 2 fights. Both men, though, as it goes in their career, the stories of their careers are not being able to stand up to their greatest test. Menjivar has losses to Georges St. Pierre, who he's now on the team in training with. Also a loss with his battle against Matt Serra and Carl Uno, a loss to Uriah Faber. So not really coming up well against his biggest competition. The same can be said for his opponent, Charlie Valencia, who also shares a career loss to Uriah Faber, also with a loss to Dominic Cruz, Cub Swanson, Brian Bowles. His most recent loss was to Miguel Angel Torres via second-round rear naked choke. Before that loss, Valencia was riding a wave, a powerful momentum of a 3-fight winning streak that was using some solid boxing, takedowns, control, ground and pound. I see for him to get back on that same momentum, that same kind of streak, and take the fight to Menjivar, pulling out a unanimous decision victory, I think. Moving on, though, the next fight of the night we have the Prince, Claude Patrick, at 13-1 versus the 12-1 Ninja Daniel Roberts. Daniel Roberts is a Cesar Gracie Jiu-Jitsu fighter, a member of the Scrap Pack, who would like to add some fame to his own repertoire and to his own style as his other members of his team have. Both of these guys are comparable ground fighters. With Claude Patrick having 6 career fights ended by his nasty guillotine, when you try to take the fight to the ground on him, he'll grab you and get you. He's taking on a Cesar Gracie fighter, Daniel Roberts. 9 of his 12 wins are via submission in his career. Well, what kind of momentum did the two of them have? Daniel Roberts comes in this fight having a 3-fight UFC winning streak. His only loss was to Doomsday John Howard. John Howard uses sprawl and brawl technique, keeping the fight off the ground. Claude Patrick has an 11-fight winning streak coming into this. His greatest ability is his adaptability to wherever the fight may lead. But he doesn't need to be following. He needs to be the leader, dictate the pace, keep the fight standing, use the sprawl and brawl, leg kicks, combinations, change levels, stay away from the cage, and use the movement. I can see him doing it, and I can see Claude Patrick pulling out a split decision over Daniel Roberts as long as he can keep the fight off the ground. The next fight that we're going to talk about as we change the paper. The next fight we talk about is the 14-6 Eves, the Tiger, Jabween, taking on the 11-1 Scarecrow, Pablo Garza. You may all remember Jabween's name from his pretty cool WEC 49 battle with Mark Hominick. Both men landing great boxing shots. Tremendous takedowns, reversals, transitions, popping around. Garza is a young up-and-comer with 11-1 record. Is a long athlete with good Muay Thai skills. As you saw in his last fight, he capped it off with a spectacular flying knee knockout. He also, with those long limbs, is able to use jiu-jitsu off his back and sink in triangles, also using chokes and angles that other athletes with shorter limbs are not able to get in. In this fight, the long limbs are even a bigger part as he has a 7-inch reach advantage. I look for Garza to use this advantage. Jabween's headstrong, he's head hungry. I see him coming in quickly and getting caught, though, in the fight. I look for Garza to finish it, a first round TKO. The next fight that we're going to talk about pits Jake Ellenberger versus Sean Pearson. Ellenberger has a 23-5 record to Pearson's 11-4 record. Ellenberger, though, is a 2-week replacement for Brian Foster. Brian Foster, in a medical review before the fight happened, was found to have a brain hemorrhage. Not life-threatening, not career-threatening, just a 6-week no contact. Get well soon, Brian Foster. All this change for Sean Pearson. Sean Pearson, you remember that name? He's the Pimp Daddy. If you remember from his first bout in the octagon for the UFC, his nickname made waves in his hometown of Toronto, where on that following Monday, he was relieved of active duty from his day job with the Toronto Police Department. So there's not enough that's happened to this guy. Now he has to change in opponents 2 weeks before his fight. Well, it's not so bad because Foster and Ellenberger are both wrestlers, the wrestling base. The striking is up another level, though, from what we were going to see out of Foster. Ellenberger, much heavier hands, 14 career TKOs, 5 submissions, on a 3-fight UFC winning streak. He's someone that can dictate the pace of the fight, 72% on his takedown offense and 89% on his takedown defense in his UFC career. He tries to dictate. He has heavy hands to end the fight, heavy hands with a granite chin. Pearson is a very well-rounded Toronto fighter. It's a big moment for him fighting at home, fighting there again. He's a member of the Chai Star Gym, training with Ivan Menjivar and GSP. Look for the fight to be hard. Look for the fight to be close. Don't count Pearson out. Ellenberger, though, my pick, split decision. We move on now to the 13-6 Nate Diaz taking on the 10-1 Rory MacDonald. Rory MacDonald, a young MMA fighter. One of the first breed of MMA fighters to train in a gym, go in there and be an MMA fighter. He is now also a member of the TriStar Gym. He's a fight finisher with 6 career submissions, 4 career TKOs, His one loss, a knockout loss to Carlos Condé in the 3rd round in his UFC debut. Where does that put us? Oh yeah, the veteran Nate Diaz, another member of the Scrap Pack, a Cesar Gracie Jiu-Jitsu fighter, Ultimate Fighter Season 5 winner. 2-1 since moving up to the welterweight division. Where does his place in the welterweight division, really get outlined at? This could be a big fight for seeing which way his career goes. He also has a tremendous unorthodox boxing ability with landing punches and bunches, many combinations. I see this being a good fight going to the 3rd round where he's going to put MacDonald down after an accumulation of a long striking game where neither man will really gain an advantage. I think after time wears down, MacDonald gets tired, a long stand-up battle. I think that Diaz gets the fight to the ground and is able to sink in a guillotine choke and a 3rd round win for Nate Diaz. That ends the prelims and part 1 of Cage Minds. Tune back in for part 2, the pay-per-view card.